On a daily basis, I wear this white ribbon on my lapel. It's a reminder to people about domestic violence. I'm the chairman of the White Ribbon Campaign with Jane Doe in Massachusetts. It's a campaign which is focused on men standing up against violence against women. And I'm here to announce a case which is another stark reminder of why this campaign is needed and why we need to continue to stem the tide of violence against women. This Saturday, January 23rd at approximately 8 p.m., Massachusetts State Police assigned to the Middlesex DA's office went to 4 Warren Street in Shirley. The Shirley Police Department had already responded there. They went there for reports of a potential attempted suicide and murder. What they got when they got to the scene, the observations they made were troubling. At the scene, identified was Allison Myrick, a 19-year-old woman. She was dead. Allison was suffering from what was obviously several stab wounds and a beating. We have alleged that that beating and those stab wounds took place at the hands of Robert Gulla, a 19-year-old man who lived there at 4 Warren Street in Shirley. We've pieced together the relationship between the two over the course of the last 48 hours. What we know is that Robert Gulla and Allie Myrick were formerly boyfriend-girlfriend. They had dated for a very brief period of time. Allie was a student at Fitchburg State College where she met Gulla, who was not a student there. Gulla, at the scene, was determined to be suffering from what we allege are self-inflicted stab wounds and a self-inflicted gun wound to his head area. After Allie was pronounced dead at the scene, Gulla was taken to a hospital. He's being treated at UMass Medical Center in Worcester. He's being arraigned as we speak for first-degree murder against Allie Myrick. As I said, we've learned that they dated briefly between September and early December of this year. We also know that Ms. Myrick broke off their dating relationship, started dating another young man at Fitchburg State where they were both students. We've pieced together the last hours of Allison Myrick's life through witness interviews, text messages, a chronology that we were able to piece together, an evidence collection. We learned about not only the relationship, but how Allison Myrick came to be a victim at the hands of Robert Gulla, as we've alleged today. Further facts, as they've been developed, are being presented at the arraignment of Robert Gulla today. As I said, that arraignment is taking place right now in a hospital room in UMass Medical Center in Worcester, where Robert Gulla is being charged with the first-degree murder of Allison Myrick. Do you have any questions at this time?
Is that not open to the public? Usually we go in when we do those arraignments in the hospital rooms.
Kelly, I'm not sure what rules that the hospital has applied to that arraignment. It's been put together fairly quickly this afternoon when we learned that he could be arraigned medically, and they're there now actually engaging in the arraignment, and we have a prosecutor there presenting the facts to a judge.
One of the domestic violence experts I spoke to today said that high-risk violence teams are very effective at trying to prevent exactly what happened to her, but because of budget cuts, Shirley wasn't participating in that. Would you agree with that assessment, and are you going to take any steps to ensure that departments like that struggling can have access to these kinds of programs?
Here in Middlesex County, we've actually started a number of high-risk teams, community-based teams, so that we can ferret out information about ongoing abuse situations, which unfortunately exist within the 4 walls because of the barriers against disclosure in domestic violence matters. In fact, just last week we announced another high-risk community-based team in the Cambridge-Arlington-Belmont area. In Shirley, there actually is a community-based group there that we're in constant contact with. After this incident occurred this weekend, we had contact with them, and we're of the belief and understanding now that this situation between Ms. Myrick and Gulla was not brought to their attention.
Gerry, you said they started dating back in September, then she broke it off shortly thereafter. Do you know why she was at, that was his apartment, right? Does she also live there?
4 Warren Street is Robert Gulla's apartment. He lives in the basement area with his mother. It's her house. What we were able to piece together is that Allison apparently went to that house between Friday night and Saturday morning with Robert Gullah. During the course of the day on Saturday, we've learned through Gullah's mother that in fact Allison was at the house, that there was an argument during the day between Gullah and Allison. The mother left the house for a period of a few hours. When she came back to the house, she's the first one to have discovered what happened in that house, which was the bodies of both her son Robert Gullah and Allison Myrick, who was pronounced dead on the scene.
But Allison was she still in the process of trying to extricate herself from that relationship, or had she broken it off and, for whatever reason, went back to that house?
We can't now know why Allison was with Robert Gullah on that Saturday, the day we're alleging she was killed, but we do know that she took steps and affirmative steps to end the relationship with Gullah, and in fact had a new relationship with another young man. The relationship between Allison and Robert Gullah lasted only several weeks between September when she met him in early December.
Was there an active restraining order in this case?
What will be learned during the course of the presentation of the facts today was that Allison had in fact taken out a restraining order, and that a restraining order was pending at the time that we allege she was killed.
At Fitchburg District Court.
There were two different matters, one out of Fitchburg for the Fitchburg State College incidents that occurred, and there was also court involvement in the Ayer District Court for another incident that occurred between September and December.
He choked her in one instance and he knocked her unconscious in another one, according to court records. Why was there never a dangerousness hearing requested when both times he was released on personal recognizance?
Well, we're still piecing together the chronology of what happened in court. We know that one of the court incidents, for instance, was when he was summoned to court by the local police department. So we're still piecing together the prior incidents and what exactly occurred in the court. We do know that the last time he was before the court, our office asked for an abuse order at that time. But again, we're still piecing together what situation occurred between the two of them and how many incidents occurred and how many actually ended up with court involvement.
Do you think she slipped through the cracks?
It's too early to tell what happened as it relates to their relationship and court involvement. We're still piecing that together. What we do know is that she took some affirmative steps to end the relationship. She took some affirmative steps to protect herself. And she also apparently took some steps in the last hours of her life to be in the presence of Robert Gullah.
Why?
We can't know at this time why she was with Gullah on Saturday, other than having talked to witnesses and pieced together the facts. We believe that she was knowingly and willingly with him in the last day of her life, but we can't say why at this time.
Does it disturb you at all that in the court documents it clearly shows the Gullah family was well aware of what was going on? All the incidents were under their roof and the death was under their roof.
This is an extremely troubling situation. Any time that we have a domestic violence situation where we later learn that abuse has gone on between the four walls of a house and that there were barriers against disclosure for whatever reasons that people didn't disclose, when we're looking at it from the back end, it's obviously very troubling, especially when we learn that there were indicators known to people who could have tried to do something about it.
Last question?
Gerry, can you shed any light on the Kerrigan case at all? Can you make a comment on that?
Frank, with regard to Mark Kerrigan is a 45-year-old man. He lived at 7 Cedar Ave in Stoneham. He was arraigned today in Woburn District Court for an assault and battery on a